friends, I'm making lots of videos today, so they're all going to look the same. You're going to have to look at the title because I'm posting a bunch while my daughter is having her baby. So I need to make a whole bunch today so that I can have them done and post for the next week or so. So double check the titles. I don't want you to think you've watched one and then realized that you didn't because they all look the same. So I'll try to be really clear on the titles of what they are. Off the top, I'm warning everybody, do you try at your own risk. This one, I don't think there's any harm in doing this one, but it's just something that's worked for me, and I'm going to share my story about it with you. I don't think I've made a video about it before, but I do have a blog post about it, and it's been on there for, actually, I think it's a page, not just a post. It's actually one of the pages. So if you go on my homepage, go down about halfway on the left, it'll say oil swishing, and that's what I'm going to share with you really quick. Oil swishing came to me through my sister, and I had been having arthritic symptoms so bad in my knees and my joints that I was really struggling, and I had never had that before, but I just felt like they were toxic and like I could barely kneel, and it was new to me. I hadn't had that before. So she had read about it online or something and said, hey, I read about this. This might help you. And so she sent it to me via email, and I read the testimonials on it and thought, well, it couldn't hurt to try. There's nothing in it that could hurt anybody. And as a nurse, I know that the quickest way into the body is under the tongue other than IV. And so I thought, well, if that's the quickest way in, it's probably the quickest way out of the body for toxins as well. So at that time, I tried what it recommended. And so I'm going to show you what I do and tell you how it worked and not. So this is olive oil. This is just the squeezer bottle I use for cooking all the time, and I refill it with bulk. And so I use olive oil, but you can use coconut oil or safflower oil or grapeseed oil or any healthy oil. Don't use canola and don't use rapeseed, because those are both the same thing as rape plant, and that's why it's called the rape plant, as it doesn't work. So I use the olive oil, and I put about a tablespoon in my mouth, and I set the timer for 20 minutes. And on the timer on the stove, and oil swish for 20 minutes. Now, it's called oil pulling as well. I just call it swishing, but it's oil pulling. So what happens is you put it in your mouth and you start to kind of push it through your teeth, and your glands will salivate and pull out the toxins. That's why it's called oil pulling, because you don't just swish it around in your mouth. You just don't go with your cheeks. You do. Can you hear that? You're actually pulling, trying to get that stuff out from under your tongue. So you're creating a suction instead of, so it's not just in your cheeks that you're swishing it, you're pulling it kind of out of the body. I have seen other people do oil body treatments that pull the toxins out through your skin, but that would make me really claustrophobic. Being covered in oil, how they do. But after I started doing this, I did notice some differences. And so what I did was and you do this on an empty stomach. You don't want to take like your vitamins in the morning and then oil pull, because it will pull out the nutrients from your body and your system. So you want to do this in the morning before you eat anything or take anything. And you want to do it at night after you haven't eaten for many hours and right before bed-ish. And that will be where you will get the most toxins out, because you don't want to compete with the vitamins and things and take those things out. It's kind of like charcoal. If you eat charcoal tablets after you've taken some medication, it will absorb the medication and you won't get the benefits of the medication. So you never want to take charcoal tablets for getting the toxins out at the same time as your medication. So charcoal is a great way to get toxins out as well. If you're feeling super toxic, you can take some charcoal tablets at night and in the morning, and then you can pull as well. And the charcoal will absorb anything in your gut, but the pulling will get it out of your system. So once I started doing it, I was feeling much better. So what I did was I would do a mouthful and I would set a timer for 20 minutes, and then I would pull, and then when it would go off, I'd spit it. Now they suggest it in the sink or the toilet or something, but the toilet, it will leave a grease ring, and if you do it in the sink, it will leave toxins in your sink. So I just usually spit it in the garbage if there's a bunch of tissues or paper towels or something, or I'll spit it into a baggie and then throw the baggie away. So I think I have blogged about this before, but or maybe even made a video, but I'm just sharing because I'm doing it right now with this other stuff that I'm doing. So I wanted to have it on a video that's around these ones so that I can refer people to it. So that's why. So then after you've done your 20 minutes, I did up to five pulls in the morning and then a couple at night. So I was pulling all day for a couple of weeks, like maybe 5 to 10 times a day because my knees were so bad. And one time I went down to sew something and I forgot I left the timer on. I didn't hear the timer, and I left the oil in for too long, and it's got toxins in it, and it actually, my mouth got sores for about 5 days after that, because there were so many toxins in my mouth that my body was reabsorbing the toxins through this tissue in the mouth, and it caused all these sores. So I'm warning, if you're going to try this, set a timer. And that's why I set a timer, is because of that experience. The sores were awful. And you don't want to reabsorb the toxins that are in there for too long. And once it turns white, so you might only be able to do it for like 5 minutes. Once it turns white, it will turn white, a little frothy white when you're, doing that. But I'm talking white as in milky white. It absorbs so many toxins that the oil will actually take on a milky consistency. So once it does that, and if it starts to taste acidic in your mouth, then you need to spit it out. So that's the only warning with this method of healing, is that if you're super toxic, you might only be able to oil pull each mouthful for 2 minutes and then have to get it out. And then once you've finished pulling for that time, so if you want to do 3 in a row, I just set the timer, put some in for 20 minutes. I did it this morning. So I put it in my mouth, set the timer for about 15 minutes because I'm pretty toxic, spit it out, swish some water in my mouth, spit it out, did another swish for 15, 20 minutes, then did a third one for 15, 20 minutes. Once you're through swishing for that setting, that one sitting, not for the day, just that one time you've done it, even if you only do it once, you have to do this. Half a teaspoon of that and a half a teaspoon of salt. Now I use real salt because it's mined in the earth, and it doesn't have all the additives and other things in it to keep it from caking and stuff. So real salt, baking soda, a little bit of water, half a cup of water, and then I stir it in, and then I take the spoon out and I do this. And I get the water up in my sinuses, and it clears out the sinuses. And then I don't put the spoon back in this again because it's contaminated now. So I'll just pour some more into the spoon, and then I'll do the other side of my nose. So like this, and snort it up. You can do a couple of tablespoons, snort it up through your sinuses, and it will clear out all the gunk that's in your sinuses, all the toxins that are in your sinuses. And then I'll pour some in my mouth, and if you take it down in like a gargle into your lower throat, if you go, you can get it lower in your throat. That takes off the film of all of that has been in there because you've had toxic waste in your mouth. And then I brush my teeth, pour some onto my toothbrush, and I'll brush my teeth with them. And then I blow my nose up significantly to get all those toxins out. Because they are toxins, you don't want to leave them in your system. So I am pretty sure I've blogged about this before. So I apologize for those of you who have watched my other video, but I wanted it with all these other ones so I could suggest it with all these other videos, because I told you I've done it this morning, so I was going to share on my update video about that. So I'm just linking it here for that reason. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. Check out my post about it on my blog. And thanks for watching, and have a blessed day.